of you have grown up in a small town, you know the feeling of everybody knows everybody, or that everyone feels the same. This is the feeling that my grandpa had growing up in Stacyville, Iowa. Coming from a place where everyone has the same beliefs and generally looks the same, he didn't know much about other people and their beliefs until he was older. As my grandpa got older, he realized he wanted to help people all over the world, no matter how different they were. Growing up from a town where he didn't see many different people, this did not stop him from trying to help others in his lifetime. Today I will talk about how my grandpa was raised in an isolated town, his job and his successes, and how he helped not only his community but everyone around the world. So both my parents came from a really strong farming background, and my grandpa, coming from Stacyville, he didn't really see anyone different from him, and he told my dad once that he never saw an African American until he was older and working, and that when he would go golfing with like his friends, a Jewish man came one time and they all left because he was different from them. And he also said that growing up in Stacyville, he doesn't remember anyone not being white or not attending the Catholic Church in their town. And so after he left Stacyville, he went to college at St. Thomas, and that was a Catholic school in Minneapolis. And then after he left St. Thomas, he transferred to the University of Iowa to get his undergrad degree. And after he got his undergrad degree, he married his high school sweetheart, which is my grandma. And then after that, he was sent to war, and during that time, to the Vietnam War, and during that time, my grandma had my dad, and then he came back after 10 months because he had a heart condition, and he had that heart condition till the day he died at 66 years old. So next, I'll tell you about his success in his job. He returned from the war, and then he got a job as the Dean of Students at Kirkwood Community College. And then he also was the assistant superintendent at Kirkwood. And then after that, he went to be the president of Scott Community College. And then he ended his career as the chancellor of deans at Eastern Iowa Community College. And he had that job for 19 years. And so during this time with all those jobs, he wanted to better all kinds of people, no matter how different they were from him. And one example of this is when my dad and my aunt were little, they remember like him having all of his work, like everyone over all the time for dinner. And so like after the night was over, he would say, like my dad would ask, who was that? And he would say like, oh, that was Chuck from maintenance, or that was Judy, we're helping her with a project. But what he really meant was probably Chuck is the janitor at the college, and Judy doesn't have enough money to remodel her house. So he was a person that did not like to insinuate that anyone's position was higher than the other. So he always made sure that everyone was equal. He was also involved in the community. He was a part of NAACP in the Quad Cities, and that was a group that formed college programs at the college and helped minority students attend school through work programs. And he was also the past president of Rejuvenate Davenport Commission, and that's a group that remodeled old apartment buildings and office buildings in the Quad Cities. And lastly, I'll tell you about how he helped not only people in his community, but all over the world. So he also did fundraising, and through this, he oversaw the construction of a technology center. And this technology center trained displaced workers and young people entering the workforce and gave them the skills to have the skills to go out and get a job pretty much. And so after all of this hard work with getting the technology center set up, the board of members got together and they ended up calling it the John T. Long Technology Center. So it just was named after him. And he also traveled to India 3 times in his life for 2 months each, and every time he traveled to India, he set up community colleges and like lower class districts so people could go get jobs there. And every time he traveled, he made sure to try new foods and like speak to many different people, and he was never intimidated by anyone just because they were different from him. So overall, my grandpa inspired not only me, but my family to be strong and independent people. He taught me that to get anywhere in life, you have to work for what you want. Nothing is ever handed to you. He also taught me that good character goes a long way, and that you should be open to embracing new people and trying new things. And from him, traveling outside the U.S., it encourages me to do the same thing with my lifetime and to make the most out of every opportunity I get.